All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashim Shai, Waharakha Kodash, which Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, it's his true name. And the Rakha Kodash, that is the Holy Spirit. And I would like to also give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there. And I just want to do a quick lesson that's based on how wisdom allows us to obtain salvation. Okay, that's how we're saved. And, when you read the book of Wisdom of Solomon, it highlights, and basically the entire book, wisdom. All right, but especially in the chapters of 6 through 10, I believe. Give or take, really, gets into it. And, something that I was pondering about as I read it. And, as you see the Israelites, continue to wake up, they're acknowledging who Yahweh Bashim Shai is. They're returning to the old paths. Which you got to ask yourself, what are the old paths? Okay? It's, our culture and our heritage. Okay? The law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord, had, given our people. Okay? Now, just a side note, of course, we understand that we'll never be saved, okay, because of the law. We understand that we need Yahweh Shai. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we're given the license to sin and do whatever we want. No, we got to the best of our ability, follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. We got to continue to fight the flesh, and that shows actually our faith, because as it says, I believe in the book of James, it says, I'm going to show you my faith by my works. Okay? And the works consist of, several things. You preaching. You, following the law, statutes, and commandments. You being a brother. You trusting in the Lord no matter what situation you're put in. So on and so forth. Okay? All right, but point being, though, is you applying wisdom, right, to your life, that shows, the Lord, your faith. And this is how we're going to get out of this place. Because, let me get this real quick. In Sirach, by us returning to the Lord, it shows us that we're a more profitable, people. Okay? All right, let me get this. This is Sirach chapter 10, and I'll get I'll get 4 straight to the point. This is Sirach 10 and 4. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. And it says, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Okay? And you see, when you don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Shai, you're actually following a death style. Not only just to yourself, but all the things around you. Hey, your community, all right? Hey, the ecosystem, And it's very evident because, look, when you look at the ways of Esau, right, that's the way this earth is run right now, everything is dying out. Everything. Things aren't, in a good estate. You see? But if you apply the, what the Lord, has written, things are going to flourish. And see, that's what we're doing right now. And that's why the Lord is going to transfer the rulership from Esau to us. Of course, starting off with Yahushai. And then, to all the other Israelites. You see? All right. Well, let me get this Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to be hopping around a little bit. I'm going to start. Should I start at 7? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I'll start here. This is Wisdom of Solomon 8, and I'll start at 13. Moreover, by the means of her, which is wisdom, I shall obtain immortality. And that's what we want. All right. And you see, even these heathens, in particular Esau, they want immortality too. But they're doing it through, pseudoscience. They want to basically use transhumanism to obtain that immortality. They showed you in several movies how they want to basically take your mind and put it in a computer, so then you can last forever. You see, man has been as they say what they've been searching for the fountain of youth, right? Forever. That was something that was actually believed to be in Florida. Okay. Years and years back, centuries back, they actually believed that the fountain of youth was in Florida. So point being, though, is, that's something that's been on man's mind forever. And us Israelites, we're really going to obtain that. And we're going to be the only nation to obtain that. And that's because we're going to have, those new bodies, which is promised to us via the new covenant. Okay? And you got to remember, what does it say in the book of Romans? The book of Romans, it says that the wages of sin is death, right? That is true. If you're sinning, you're going to die at some point. And if you're in the flesh, you're what? Subject to sin. Subject to vanity, as it says in the scriptures. Okay? You're in the chains of darkness. But with that upgrade that the Lord is going to give us, we're going to have the law, statutes, and commandments in our minds. We're not going to be rehearsing the righteous acts. We're going to be performing it to the T. You see? And that's going to allow us to receive immortality. All right? Now let me keep reading. It says, I'm going to read it again. Wisdom of Solomon 8 and 13. Moreover, by the means of her, I shall obtain immortality and leave behind me an everlasting memorial to them that come after me. It says here, I shall set the people in order, and the nations shall be subject unto me. And that's what's going to happen. Okay? Like I said, that transferring of power is going to occur. We're the ones who are going to be calling the shots. And we're going to be ruling this earth with the law, statutes, and commandments. And the heathens are going to come up, to Jerusalem, as it says in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, right? To learn the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They're going to be asking for guidance so they can, prosper. Because that's all that occurs, when you follow Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right? Prosperity. And that's what people want. Let's keep reading. And it says, horrible tyrants shall be afraid when they do but hear of me. I shall be found good among the multitude and valiant in war. After I come into my house, I will repose myself with her, for her conversation hath no bitterness, and to live with her hath no sorrow, but mirth and joy. And if you really look at the men of the Lord, we're happy. Yes, we're angry, as the scriptures say, and that's because we live in this present evil world. Yes, we go through trials and tribulations that cause us sorrow, but at the end of the day, we're without care, as it says in Wisdom of Solomon. I forget where it's at. I think it's the 6th chapter. We're quickly without care, and that's because we know how to truly please the Lord. All right, we understand what we're going through, and we understand that there is going to be an end to this nightmare that we're living in. You see, we actually have a purpose. That's the thing too. All right, we actually know what our purpose is, and we're to the best of our abilities, fulfilling it. Okay, because you got to remember, we're a nation of priests. What does it say in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter? It says that this is the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and keep his commandments. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And if you don't do these things, there's a void in your life. Because I'll say this, you'll have a lot of our people, right? They'll, try to obtain or do obtain these corruptible crowns, right? They get, into a professional, sport. They finally make it to, the major league, so to speak, right? They even, win a championship. Some people actually get MVPs, right? They do all these things. And look, at the end of the day, they're still, missing something. And it's really knowing their true purpose. Like, I'll say this, I still love this interview. You can find it. I don't know who interviewed Mike Tyson. This was, several years ago, but it was, it's still current. This is after, Mike Tyson, retired and, he was older in age. And he had all his belts on this round table. And the interviewer asked him, what these things mean to him now. And he, looked at the belts for, a moment, grabbed one of them, and he put it back on the table. And he says, all this, it doesn't mean anything anymore. And he said, what matters now is his family, right? The point being, though, is he obtained all these things, and it didn't mean anything at the end. Even, I'll say this, even your family only goes so far in this, in this world. Because look, you could do all these, righteous things. You can do all these works, carnally speaking. And your child that comes after you could be a complete demon. Look at King David with, Absalom. That's a perfect example. Look at, I believe it was Eli and his sons. Eli was a man of the Lord, and his sons were, just demons. Basically, taking advantage of the people. In the temple. You see? All right. So our main purpose is to serve the Lord. That's what we're supposed to be doing. All right. But let me keep reading. This is back in Wisdom of Solomon 8:17. Now when I consider these things in myself and ponder them in my heart, how to be allied unto wisdom is immortality. You see? It's immortality. You can never go wrong if you're allied with wisdom. It's impossible. All right. And it says, "In great pleasure it is to have her friendship, and in the works of her hands are infinite riches." Because look, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is above all these carnal things. Gold, silver, rubies, right? The things of this world, women, land, all of it. People really want what we have. And it's a gift from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? It doesn't matter how many times you read the Bible. Doesn't matter how much money you have to offer. Doesn't matter your status in this world. Look, if you're not a man of the Lord, if the Lord doesn't bless you with this truth, you can't obtain it. That's why it's, I'll say this, I like to bring this out from time to time. You got to be grateful and thankful every day that you're in this truth. Okay? And to show the Lord that you're grateful and thankful is you fighting, this flesh, you becoming that new man, and you putting in that work. That's how you show the Lord that you're thankful and grateful, you see? It says, "And in exercise of conference with her, prudence, and in talking with her, a good report, I went about seeking how to take her to me." All right. But I want to get this. Like I said, go through a little bit of Wisdom of Solomon. This is Wisdom of Solomon 7 now. In 24, I'm actually going backwards, but it's all through the Spirit. It says here, Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 24. And it reads, man. Yeah, 7 and 24. And it says here, "For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. For she is the breath of the power of the Most High, and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled thing fall into her. For she is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of Yahweh, and the image of his goodness. And being but one, she can do all things, and remaining in herself, she maketh all things new, and in all ages entering into holy souls, she maketh them friends of Yahweh and prophets." And you see, by you having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, now you're a friend of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? That's beautiful. And this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has been, passed, down to us from generation to generation. See, the Lord has always dealt with the elect, no matter what. Okay? You see? It says here, "For Yahweh loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom." And the Lord only deals with those that really obeys him. That's it. That's it. You see, all these people in the world, they think that God loves them because, it's in their mind. No. Just because you think that thought, that doesn't mean the Lord loves you. You really got to, do what he says. All right? Even Yahweh Shai said it. Right? "If you love me, keep my commandments." You see? These people don't do that. They don't keep the commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The church tells you what? The law is done away with. But let me get this. Oh, yep. That's what I wanted in Sirach real quick. Well, you know what? Hold on real quick. because people always talk about, love, right? Let me get this real fast. Oh, man. Jeez. People just need to read the book of John. And all that. It's funny, man. Like, these main books that the church pushes, if people actually read them, and you don't have to be a huge... I'll say like this, you don't have to be a prophet to understand these things, too. That's the wild part about it. This stuff is very, clear. Straight to the point. Right? But when you read John... I'm going to get straight to the point. John 14 and 15, it says what? If you love me, keep my commandments. All right, I'm going to jump down. It says John 14 and 21, he that keepeth my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. You see? It's all about keeping these commandments. Now, like I said, of course, you're not going to be perfect, but you have to try. You have to fight. Now I'm going to get this. This is John 15 and 10. If you keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. Okay? Now let me get this. Because, what is love, right? This is 1 John 5 and 2. By this we know that we love the children of Yahweh, when we love Yahweh and keep his commandments. For this is the love of the Lord, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Right there. That's what love is. Because, they'll say, well, the Lord said to keep these 2 laws and you're good, right? To love the Lord with all thy heart, and to do, and to love your neighbor, basically. But what is love? That's the thing. And at the end of the day, it goes back to the commandments. Because look, if you're going to love your neighbor, right? You wouldn't, commit adultery with his, wife. If you loved your neighbor, you wouldn't, steal his, his cattle, right? His land. If you loved your neighbor, you would actually rebuke him. Right? Because in this society, you do a thing called constructive criticism, right? Which is basically rebuke. You're a hater now. You see? It all goes back to the commandments at the end of the day. You see? But let me get this. And we'll probably end it out. Wisdom of Solomon 6. And I'm going to, jump around through this chapter. And this is actually one of my favorite chapters in the entire Bible. It's a very heavy chapter. And this is something that we as men of the Lord, should read. Because this deals with, our, salvation. This deals with us getting, our kingdom. And us being, those, righteous rulers. Those righteous judges. You see? But this is Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? All right? Which, ultimately, the Lord gives us that freedom. No one else can do these things. We got to do the things that are pleasing to the Lord in order to get the freedom. Okay? Now let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 9. Unto you therefore, O kings, do I speak, that ye may learn wisdom and not fall away. For they that keep holiness holy shall be judged holy. Okay? And what makes us holy? Meaning, mind you, the word holy means to be separate. What makes us holy are these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's what makes us that wise and understanding nation, as it says in the book of Deuteronomy. You see? That's what makes us different. Because if we didn't, follow the Lord's, commandments, we would just be like a heathen. Doing vile things. You see? Let's keep reading. And they that have learned such things shall find what to answer. Wherefore set your affections upon my words, desire them, and ye shall be instructed. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She prevented them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. To think, therefore, upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. All right, and when I mentioned that earlier, okay, in the lesson, you're going to be quickly without care, and that's because you understand what's going on. You understand at the end of the day what? The Lord's will. You see? Unlike the rest of these people, they have doubt, fear. They don't have any answers. All right? Now, let me just keep reading. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorable unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, and love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed of her laws is the assurance of incorruption. All right, see all these things tied together. And incorruption maketh us near unto Yahweh. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. All right, you see? Like I said, all these things, tie in together. All right? And this is why, it's so important to, continue to change. To fight the flesh. Fight that old man. Because the only way we're going to receive, our kingdom, receive immortality as well, is by us, listening to the Lord, which is what? Wisdom. All right? See, this is no joke, man. We're in some serious, business here. And that's why you can't take this thing lightly. And you'll have guys out there that, play with, this word and play with the position that they're in. But those aren't serious-minded men. And those are, men that eventually get the spiritual boot. The Lord kicks them out. You see? But, I just wanted to touch on that. I mean, I could keep going, man. There's so many scriptures that are, popping up. It talks about the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Fear of the Lord is the first step to being accepted by Him. There's so many different scriptures that I could pull out. So, like I said, Akime, just, stay focused, keep changing, keep fighting. Keep supping with the Lord. Okay? And, keep thinking about the kingdom. Keep your eyes single. This place is, fading away. It's passing away. And the Lord has a kingdom already prepared for us. Let's just keep, traveling to it, spiritually speaking. But I'm going to end this lesson. Hopefully this was edifying. And with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Also double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there. Shalom.